As promised, we are here to talk about the WNBA Expansion Project. Now, y'all know I broke down the WNBA jerseys that Nike put out. But we got some pretty fresh ones. I had to figure out who was behind these new jerseys. It's 12 different jerseys for 12 different expansion teams. Some cities we recognize, some that we don't. But I have the creators, or at least some of the creators, right here with me. We'll start with Lance Heinzman, Nick Miller, Casey Vitelli, Seth Reese, Denver Gravitt, and Ryan Mellis. I said it wrong?
Miles.
Ryan Miles. I was going to get someone's name wrong. And Ryan Miles, my apologies. We went through it all off air. I still, messed it up. All good. Ryan Miles. Well, we'll start with you, Ryan. Introduce yourself to everyone real quick and tell us how you got into or what your exposure is to women's basketball.
I'm Ryan Miles. I'm 20. I'm from Wisconsin. I'm pretty new to the women's basketball scene, to be honest. In October of 2020, I did a expansion project of my own. I did the Milwaukee Does. And that was really my first introduction to the WNBA. One of the players I used as like a jersey swap for that team was Arike Agunbuala because she's from Milwaukee, so fitting. And then ever since then, I've just been paying a little bit more attention here and there. And then, yeah, this project was like perfect to get me to teach me even more about the league and everything.
All right, Nick, we're gonna come over to you.
Howdy, I am Nick. I am also from Wisconsin. I've been kind of following women's basketball really more on the like from the bench and whatnot, more just kind of just subtly paying attention to it. And kind of the first time I really remember getting into it was when UConn's women's basketball was kind of at its peak, like when they were winning, when they were on that insane like 70 game or so win streak, and I've been kind of following it ever since.
Thank you, Nick. Lance, let's head over to you.
I am Lance. I'm 16 from Pennsylvania, and because I'm 16, I haven't really been following the WNBA or women's basketball in general as long or that long. And so really my introduction to really following and keeping up with the WNBA was hearing Kobe talk about women's sports and hearing him. And when the idea came for WNBA Expansion Project, I was all for it.
I love that, the Kobe effect. Casey, how about you?
Yeah, I'm Casey. I'm 30. I'm from the Bay Area, California. My first really introduction to women's basketball was probably watching USA basketball when Dawn Staley was on the team back in the early 2000s. I didn't really watch much besides that, but then it's kind of coming back a little bit. It's getting more popularized, so I've kind of been seeing it more and more, getting back into it. And yeah, when the idea came up, I was all for it.
Love to hear it. Now, the Dawn Staley effect, I mean, for the culture, for sure. And we'll head over to Seth. How about you?
Yeah, my name is Seth Reese. I'm from Cincinnati, Ohio. My introduction to women's basketball was back when I was a kid. I would set up some crates downstairs in the basement in this wonderful home and would just like shoot around with a rubber ball. But in the background, I would always have basketball on. And most of the time, like on ESPN2 and ESPN Classic and stuff like that, you would have Diana Taurasi and Candace Parker. Basically highlight reels of them just going off on people. And then as I grew up and went to college, I went to Oral Roberts University and actually was able to work all of the women's basketball games there. So worked probably 85 games for them. And so just the exposure grew. And so with the WNBA, I actually had been very involved until last season watching Sue Bird. So but yeah, when this project came up, it was a really fun thing to do just because it challenged my knowledge of the WNBA and just helped me grow, like Ryan said, pay more attention to just a lot of the teams and a lot of the players that I hadn't really kept a close eye on.
Thanks so much, Seth. And you mentioned Sue Bird, but we have another Denver over here that's joining us. That's also part of the team. Sue Bird was at the Nuggets for a little bit, but we've got Denver Gravitt here with WNBA Expansion Project. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Denver.
Cool. Yeah, my name's Denver. I'm from Austin, Texas, and my introduction to women's basketball in the WNBA was, I don't even know how young I was playing backyard basketball. And the best player in backyard basketball was Lisa Leslie. So that's kind of how I got introduced to it. Kind of like Seth said as well, in college I worked kind of with the sports department and the broadcasting department, and got to see a lot of my university's women's basketball games through that. And our team was really good, so that was a lot of fun at Abilene Christian University. And then lately, just what's been going on, kind of, I think Lance mentioned the Kobe effect. The way him and some other NBA players have really taken it upon themselves to make sure people are noticing, and kind of like your favorite players, they're always courtside. They're talking about it. And when the WNBA released those orange hoodies relatively recently, you started seeing those a lot. That kind of brought my attention around to some of the things we're going to talk about, just in terms of like what apparel and design can do to bring attention to the league that deserves the attention, and what kind of lacks right now is just the marketing aspect of it.
Yes, indeed. And I'm so glad that y'all have come together for this. But before we get into the WNBA Expansion Project, I do just want to remind folks, so I'm going to pull up here on the screen for a little bit, what we're talking about when we're talking about the 2021 swag, because it's definitely been upgraded for 2021. I think we can all admit that. But we've got, so these are all the Rebel Edition, but you've got 3 designs for each of the 12 WNBA teams. But then also each team is going to have apparel separate to just the replica jerseys, which I think are dope. A lot of people saying that black vest in particular was inspired by Courtney Williams. I mean, where's the lie? I don't know. But I mean, so when looking at some of these jerseys, you can see Chicago's here. Phoenix, I'm going to be honest, I think the whole set for Phoenix might be my overall favorite. Atlanta's are pretty dope. You see some of the players here wearing those. And of course, Chicago, we heard from one Diamond to Shields that, Chicago was coming with it. So first, let's get some reactions just to the WNBA swag from this year. Ryan, we'll start with you again.
Oh, yeah. I remember because we had known a couple days prior that like the reveal was going to be that day, and we had been hyping up in chat. And the second the pictures on Twitter dropped, we were going crazy in the chat because they were really cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I agree with you. Phoenix has the best ones.
They're pretty dope. There might be some dissent in the group. Some heavy sighs there. Nick, we'll go to you next.
I'm not sure. I don't know if I have a personal favorite. They're all just really, really, like, they're really great. I personally really like the attention that is starting to be gained with the WNBA, because it does, thank you. It does kind of, it gets closer to the tier of what the NBA is at least for a uniform design standpoint. And for me personally, with like the whole equality thing, and I personally really, really enjoy that.
Mm-hmm.
But I did not answer that question.
Pick your favorite team, Nick.
Probably the Liberty.
Probably the Liberty.
That is probably my favorite set as a whole.
You mentioned equality, so I figured as much. All right. I think we went to Lance in the last round, so we'll go back to you, Lance. Just your impressions of the new drop, and do you have a favorite? And if so, why is it Phoenix?
I can't answer that last question. I'm with Luke. My favorite is the Liberty for sure.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just something about the color with the gold, the mint. It's just all really beautiful. But my reaction.
That's pretty dope.
Yes,
That is
it's
pretty
like,
sight.
I was trying to get a jersey actually for the Liberty, but they only have them in women's sizes right now. So I might have to get an XL, see what that's about. But yeah, my reaction when I saw them was just I was in awe. They all looked really good. The Phoenix, every team looks really good, and I was really happy to see them. Like Nick said, from a quality standpoint, I'm glad to see the WNBA visually is on par, if not better, than what the NBA is putting out right now.
Mm-hmm.
Love to see it. High time for sure. Casey, you're up next.
Well, sorry to the New York guys. They are good. They're probably my second, but I got to go with Phoenix as my first one. I mean, it's so cool to see that the WNBA finally got their own unique design instead of just that standard template they've had for years and years since probably its inception. But it's cool to see that. Again, the whole differentiating design now is going to expand to. It's going to be great. Hopefully, get some more cool design for the whole league.
For sure. Absolutely. All right. Next up is Seth.
All right. Well, I'm repping my hometown team, the Indiana Fever. The Stranger Things jerseys. Those are probably one of the coolest jersey designs I've ever seen. So, and I've never watched Stranger Things. So,
never. We had who was it? Winsider, REA, and Jasmine Baker were talking about that, and they were like, people in the comments, because they were on IG Live, they were like, people in the comments are saying something about the upside down. I was like, oh my gosh, they really have no idea.
See, I know the references, and like when I first saw it, I'm pretty sure I threw it in the group message. I was like, are these Stranger Things? Because I recognized the font. Mm-hmm. So I was like, I think these are Stranger Things. I had no clue. It was like an Indiana town was the fictional Indiana town was like the inspiration for it. But I'll always rep Indiana stuff. And then even the Connecticut Sun gives me the like old Memphis Grizzly vibes, which are they're one of the best NBA jerseys ever. So I'd say those two that go against the Phoenix tribe that's gaining up here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm part of that Phoenix tribe, but I will admit, I bought a jersey today, and it was that blue Connecticut jersey.
Yes.
I also just love, like, they went all in for the culture and for the culture of the Mohican tribe, which we don't see often in a positive way in sport.
Oh, yeah.
So I was definitely all in when it came to that. But Denver, all right, you're up. You've heard what the crew had to say. What say you when it comes to this new drop, and what's your favorite?
Yeah, I think the first thing that kind of struck me about it is just consistency, and I think that's really what kind of puts this collection above and beyond where the NBA is at. Is that all of these are hits, and all of these jerseys are just so beautiful and well thought out. The other side of that coin is it's hard to pick. I think my favorite would be the Washington Mystics Rise jersey. I really like the Liberties collection. I really like the Phoenix set as well, especially the X Factor aspect to that. But just the singular Rise jersey, I think is really powerful and just looks great.
I could get with that, and has the words of the 19th Amendment piped in, which is pretty dope. And then what I didn't realize is not only did Washington go retro with the font that they used, which is an ode to the OG Washington when they had that dark blue and brown or yellow. There was a lot going on there, and I didn't know what it had to do with DC, but they also had the star, which I guess they wanted to represent statehood in the fight for statehood in DC. So I thought that was pretty dope too. All right, but so we talked about the WNBA, but again, we brought y'all on here because y'all not only gave us jerseys, but like you gave us the whole HER, Heroine, Explorer, and Rebel collection for 12 expansion teams. Now, some of these cities are familiar to WNBA fans, some are new, but let's get into it. Where did we come up with this idea? How did you decide on the 12 cities? And then I'll get into what each of you contributed specifically. So, all right, why don't we go to you, Ryan? Where did this concept and idea come from? You mentioned already the Milwaukee Does. I remember that Enrique jersey. That was fire. So, what happens next?
Yeah, so we had been taking a break from doing projects just because like they're really time consuming. But a couple weeks ago, actually, we had a really quick turnaround on this project. A couple weeks ago, we had just been talking about what we want to do for our next project, and someone had suggested WNBA, and we all agreed that was like a great idea because I feel like there's never been more hype for the league than there is now. So we went with that, and then we just started brainstorming teams. And I don't know if someone else wants to take off, take it from here, they can.
Somebody mentioned the WNBA.
Tor, yeah.
Yeah, Tor did.
Yeah. Sorry, it's Thor. It's pronounced Thor. Sorry.
Yeah, we know a guy named Thor. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Is that how you pronounce his name?
It's pronounced Thor. Yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
So for the next interview, I know that, so I don't mess it up like I.
Yeah.
It's kind
we
of
have
hard
six.
because he's in Europe, so it's kind of hard for him.
Yeah.
Oh,
He's Norwegian. It's so he's going to bed soon.
Yeah.
We might have
he's
six
a bit
more
now.
teams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so he mentioned some WNBA and like getting a new project for that going. So we just started running with that. And then we spent probably the next, it basically just went on this hype train.
Mm-hmm.
And then we just kept going and going. And then we were originally like, all right, we're going to get like maybe 16 teams. And then someone mentioned, well, let's just double the current league and just size it down to 12. So that's what we decided to do. And what we did was we just picked cities that either had an NBA, like a current NBA franchise, or was in a city that we kind of thought needed one. So like Orlando we chose was one of them. And then some of them we did shift around. Like we talked about having a Boston franchise, but we moved that to Toronto. But it basically went just from someone just mentioning it, and then we just full steam went right through it.
Yeah, I think the folder that we share on Google Drive for this project, we started that on March 24th. So this project wasn't even a full month long.
No.
Yeah.
And Ryan, Nick, and Lance really spearheaded the whole project. I mean, Nick started popping out logos like crazy. And then, once we picked the cities, I will say, like, I even saw a tweet where someone was like, why does Cincinnati get a team? They don't have anything to do with basketball. I'm like, it's rigged. It's rigged.
But it should be Cleveland.
I would say Ryan, Nick, and Lance really were just because the thing was with the timing, a lot of us were still doing personal projects right in the middle of this. But luckily, with the draft coming around, we kind of all pushed in the past, 3 or 4 days?
Yeah.
The last 3 or 4 days, even getting that new template out that matched the WNBA graphic for the 3 jerseys, we were like, okay, let's do that as well. Let's push this out. Casey was making templates, just turning them out. And it just all culminated in the last 3 or 4 days to really get this final project out the way that even Ryan did the presentation of just the whole, the map, all of the, the jerseys, the jersey swaps, the court, like all that stuff. So I would say Ryan, Nick, and Lance deserve a ton of credit for kind of pushing this through.
Yeah, and I'm pulling this up now.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And it's fantastic. And what I love is that you also have conferences, right? So we get conferences here.
Yeah.
So we've got the Northwest Conference would be the Storm, the Portland Roses, which is and the San Francisco Seals, which are the teams we'll get into, along with the Sparks. Then you have the San Diego Waves with the Aces, the Mercury, and the Salt Lake City Slopes. In the Central Division, when we get actual conferences again, I have a whole WNBA beef with how we have conferences, but they're not really used for. I have problems. Anyway, we're gonna go back to y'all for now. Let's go back to this here. So in the Central, you've got the Lynx holding it down, the Wings holding it down, and they're joined by the Denver Gold and the St. Louis Spirit. So we go back to the Eastern Conference, the Sun, the Liberty, and the Mystics are joined by the Philadelphia Bells. Dawn Staley was mentioned earlier in this conversation.
Yeah.
Then in the Midwest, it was also mentioned Toronto was added. You know, everyone loves Huskies and women's basketball, or loves to hate them, depending on where you're from. They joined the Chicago Sky and the Indiana Fever, which we also mentioned in the Upside Down. Cincinnati Majesty, love that. And the Southwest is Nashville, the Nashville Notes. Charlotte gets another team, but they're the Rush this time. They join the Atlanta Dream, and then the Flamingos hold it down for the Southwest. I mean, I just love how innovative all of this is. I personally love that there are some cities that we in this theoretical expansion project that we return to. Including Philadelphia, not for the WNBA, but for women's basketball. There was an ABL team in some of these cities as well, which I think is important to remember, or even before there was a league that predates even the ABL. And some of these cities are very familiar to women's basketball. So absolutely love that. When it comes, though, to these designs, so Denver, let's go to you first on this one. What was your involvement? And outside of anything that you specifically worked on, is there a team or two that you would, 100% buy season tickets to tomorrow?
Yeah, so with a lot of this project, I almost just feel happy to be here. A lot of people did a lot of heavy lifting. I did the Denver Gold branding and logo set. So I did the design for that, the logo, the word marks, and the colors for that. Once I got added to the group, I'm from Texas. I'm a Mavs fan, but I kind of became the guy that does all the Denver stuff just by default.
Because you picked Denver on the first project. You did that yourself.
Yeah, well, by default, I mean by my own decision. But yeah, so I have a passion for branding. That's kind of more the angle I come with to the group. I don't do as much of the swaps and the graphics, but I kind of got into drawing and design just by drawing sports logos over and over. So that was my involvement, was the Denver Gold branding. And Casey's shirt, I did that.
I saw it.
Yeah.
Let's go.
he made that, so yeah.
That's fantastic. All right. So so would you buy then that's your team?
Well, I have to. Yeah.
All right. For sure.
No, and I wish we kind of have a short list of teams that almost made the cut, and Austin was one of those cities. So I almost wish we got to do that. But I would say, do what?
When we expand to 30.
We'll do it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Part 2.
We'll do that next.
All right.
But one of the ones I really love,
guys.
I really love how Nashville Notes came together. I thought that was just the colors and everything, just the notes, obviously the nod to music in Nashville and everything, and the way the guitar pick was incorporated, and just the beautiful script and everything. I really love how that one came together. So off the top of my head, I'd probably have to pick that one.
All right. So I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna show the Denver Gold. This is pretty hard. That goes pretty hard. I'm not gonna lie. That's pretty dope. So Denver worked on Denver. That's easy enough to remember. Over here got me rhyming now. I don't know what's going on. Let's head over to Lance. What was your role, or the team or teams that you worked on? And same question that we asked Denver. Who are you rocking through and through?
So when the project first came out, I wasn't really doing anything like personal projects or even like short graphics at the time. So I just immediately, once the idea came together, started a Google Sheet so we can start naming teams and who is good at creating logos, word marks, courts and jerseys and stuff, so we can kind of get organized and get started. Because for this project, we all came together as a group to help make each team the best it could be. Whereas in our previous projects, everybody would kind of split off and take a team or two and do their own thing. And then we'd all just put it together in one project. So I was just trying to keep the group organized, make sure we can get started, especially since I didn't have anything to do at the time. But then I just kind of worked here and there on some courts. I did the jerseys for the Philadelphia Bells, and then a few swaps here and there.
All right, so we're gonna pull up Philadelphia right now. Make sure that folks see this. Oh, these are tough. These are tough. I like the colors. Just scream Philly to me, you know?
And that Sixers throwback.
Yup.
Yeah.
That is probably one of my favorite ones.
It's pretty dope. I do
that.
want to go back to Nashville also because Denver, you mentioned Nashville notes as well. That's a nice blue too, but you can already see the differences between the two, the colorways. And Nashville is true blue for sure. Leans into it. I love it though. And even if you will, the different notes of blue. See what I did there?
Yeah.
Should hire you.
Yeah. Fantastic. I'm a great critic, not a great creator. I can't draw a straight line, but all right, Seth, how about you? What was your work on the project, and which team are you repping if you could buy season tickets?
So I helped with the Portland Roses jerseys, and then basically did the Cincinnati Majesty word marks, branding, and then the court, the jerseys, and the swaps for them. And then I had helped with Casey making the new template that the jerseys were on for the 3 graphics we released that kind of mimicked the WNBA's release. And obviously, I mean, I got to pick the Cincinnati Majesty because you got to watch the throne. And, if Cincinnati got any basketball team, I'd be there. I'd be there in a heartbeat. So
I love it. So you're sticking with Cincinnati. That's the city to go to for sure.
Watch the throne.
Hey, all right. But before you watch the throne, let's head to the Roses. Of course, Portland and Roses, that's a pretty good combination right there. Obviously, even in the NWSL, we see them really embrace
the Thorns. Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. Oh man, I just love this kind of cream right here. And then you've got the design right there on the belt, which we've also seen the WNBA actually embrace this year. But you mentioned the courts. I haven't really been scrolling down. You even give us some rookies in the draft that you might pick here. I love this. And this I will link in the podcast. But these are the court mock-ups, which is so dope as well. We're going to go to Salt Lake City here. This is gives me a little baseball vibes, but I like that. I'm a huge baseball fan, but that middle diamond is speaking to me right now. But of course, that's playing off of the slopes, if you will, and the skiing culture. And Dana Evans, all right, got Dana Evans going to the slopes. I like it. Fantastic. All right, let's see. Who have we not gotten around to? Casey, I don't think we've heard from you yet.
I mean, I'm a Bay Area guy, so I got to go with San Francisco probably for the team. But I'm just saying my favorite design would probably be between Cincinnati or Nashville. Those are both pretty cool. We had a design for a Boston team that started coming out, which I liked, but unfortunately we had to scrap because there wasn't enough for that. My role in this, unfortunately, wasn't too much. I had my own project working on some unfortunate real life events that happened during this. So I did template work. So I started the main template we use on the displays. Suns Phoenix Tracker. Phoenix Suns, you know what I mean? Suns Uni Tracker.
He's gonna be mad.
We're like partners in crime for the NBA Uni Tracker. So he kind of helped finish that template, and then the hanger display template that came out for the WNBA release, Seth started it, and I kind of helped finish that. And I also did the intro graphic that shows all like the 12 jerseys on the little bar with the expansion project that we like the first graphic we post on like the Twitter post.
Yeah.
It's all fantastic. You mentioned the steals. I love this right here. Definitely playful and playing with the, as it says, the bay right there.
Gotta go the bay, yeah.
Grandes. All right. Araya Gigantes from so she's going coast to coast in this mock-up. I like it. I dig it.
Yeah.
St. Louis Spirit, that's pretty hard too. This has like it's almost like it takes you to a specific time in sports culture when these types of uniforms were really, the way that we knew. I like the font here. Ari McDonald. All right, let's go. She's got spirit, that's for dang sure. I mentioned the Huskies. Gotta go with the maple leaf. Can't go wrong. And they're in Toronto, so got the blue there. I love this. All right, a walk. All right, they're going with the young gun. I love this. I love this. And you mentioned the top graphic. Let me just scroll up a little. Oh, that's dope.
It's on Twitter.
Yeah, it might not be on there. Yeah.
Oh, okay, it might not be here. I just had to. Maybe I just want an excuse to look at Charlotte real quick. But
Cool. Good design too.
That's pretty dope. That is pretty dope. And so, I don't know, Ryan. I think you're the only one that maybe hasn't let us know who are you rocking of the 12 teams.
The last two on that Behance post are mine. The Spirit and the Huskies are probably my favorite brandings.
Yeah.
Those are yours.
Yeah. As Nick said earlier, the Huskies replaced the Boston Charm team that we had originally talked about doing, and Nick did the logos for the Huskies in like 12 minutes. Not actually that short, but so quick.
They came out quick, yeah.
He literally posted a picture of like just a piece of paper. He's like, all right, I got 4 logos.
Yeah. And then like an hour later, he was done.
That's fantastic. I love that. I mean, hey, it got done. So, I love it. So Cincinnati, let me show Cincinnati real quick. I don't think this one's pretty dope.
And it's a play on the Royals with the Royals being back. So we originally had the Monarchs, and then we were like, oh crap, Charlotte had the Monarchs.
Sacramento.
So I think Sacramento. And then I think Nick had suggested the Majesty as the name, which we're like, all right, let's roll with it. And so I really, for those jerseys, basically, I know that Cincinnati has a pretty like German culture to it, even with like FC Cincinnati, big soccer city. So adding that like Bavarian flag to it, I thought was a pretty good touch.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're all really nice. Even Orlando. Now, we have to be honest. Pink is not everyone's color. It's not always my color. But when you accent pink, I love a lovely pink and purple combo. Like I had a prom dress that was different pink and purple. So I'm never going to go against a nice pink and purple. But I also like the flamingo. Like a flamingo, this is very Florida, like through and through for sure.
Yeah.
Even has some nostalgia for people of a certain age. We might think a little Miami Vice and stuff like here, but which is not Orlando, but still Miami in Florida. So I like it though. I think that what's great about what we're seeing with uniforms is that we see teams kind of taking a chance on unique colors as long as they really fit the market. I think about the Boston Red Sox. They just dropped a new jersey and I saw the color and I was like, what the heck does this have to do with Boston? Because I'm not from Boston. And then I started seeing people on Twitter. They were like, oh, if you know, you know. And I was like, oh, it's the Boston Marathon finish line. It's because it's a profound yellow. Very
it's like a Lakers gold, which is like sacrilegious.
It's like, but even like a little lighter. It's also white in there, and then like this really strong blue as well. But especially, unfortunately, because of what has happened, I guess it was several years ago now at the Boston Marathon and Boston Strong, that was the perfect color combo to really elevate and recognize that city. And to have a team like the Red Sox, I mean, we're talking Fenway Park, we're talking baseball. It doesn't get more, old school than that. But when it comes to the idea of bringing in the culture of an area while also trying to be innovative and forward thinking, I mean, what is your approach to that? Lance, why don't we start with you? And what do you enjoy about that process?
Well, for me in this project, I feel like I didn't have too much of that bringing in the culture. Obviously, I think that was more so on those doing the logos. So Nick, Denver, Jazz, Unitracker, who isn't here now. But just in terms of being innovative with design, I remember one of the things I wanted to do on the Charlotte court. I wanted to name the courts after somebody. So that court is called the Don Staley Court. Just trying to do different things and make it as realistic and as, like you see it, you can think, okay, I can actually imagine that in real life.
Love it. And so Nick, we'll go to you because it seems like, you definitely had your hand in a few places, including getting Toronto on the board. But what's your approach to that? I mean, knowing that Toronto has a lot of different sports teams, but also has its own individual culture. What were some of the ways that you tried to incorporate that for Toronto and some of the other teams?
Well, I mean, for me personally, it's not it just as like the stuff I do like to bring in a lot of the regional culture into it. And for some of the, like for Cincinnati, I looked at the crown that was on their flag and I tried to incorporate that. And for Charlotte, I tried going with the Charlotte Mint, which was a very historical building. I'm blanking right now and I don't know why. But for Toronto, we had like it was basically gonna be the Huskies either way.
Yeah.
As soon as someone mentioned it, I can't remember who. It was Husky. It was basically either Huskies or we're not gonna do it. But we wanted to do Huskies, and I just kind of ran with it. And for that, I basically just tried thinking of something that felt like it belonged in Toronto. Like it was something that you'd be able to identify and see that it's like something you can get Toronto from it, I guess. So having the winter hats and the maple leaves on top, you can see it would be from Canada. I also brought in the puff of air from the original Toronto Huskies logo. Basically just like a nod to the original. But just trying to get something from the region and try to connect with the region and like the people is something I always try to do. And that's something that that's an aspect that I've always really, really enjoyed with design, and especially with the city editions for the NBA. I've always loved that they did that because I always thought that it was something that can just connect. It connects the city to the team and the people. It connects basically anyone who's around there, and I always loved that idea. And I've always loved trying to make that and just seeing it work out. And with this project, I believe like with everybody involved, we did a really good job in doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I really think y'all crushed it. And so, Casey, I want to switch gears a little bit because, I wanted to kind of land the plane on this conversation, thinking about what this could mean for the future, not just for women's basketball, but, in sport overall, just being able to be innovative and have different, not just teams, but even fans and other creators be able to bring their thoughts to the table. I mean, big picture, Casey, I'm gonna get you first on this one. What are
No
you,
pressure. No pressure.
what do you hope people will get from this project, the WNBA Expansion Project?
Well, I guess one thing we gotta be aware of, there's gonna be still some haters. It's unfortunate. It sucks in this kind of day and age, especially in the U.S. But for the best that we can do is just kind of show that we support it, kind of do this project. I think our main basis for the project, we don't care about the views, we care about making a statement for this project, and I think we did that. I feel like we did that with a great job. People are noticing it. People are going to see this and kind of start putting their focus towards the WNBA. And that's all we kind of want to see is just more support, make it like an equal playground, unfortunately, because it's not always the most equal situation compared to men's and women's. I just hope that interest grows for it. And I feel like this was a good start for some people to check out and maybe get their hands into it and everything.
Seth, I'll come over to you for this. Just what do you hope people get from this project, and what statement are you hoping that it brings to the conversation about being creative in sports?
I think that for a lot of the project, we had very intentional thoughts of what we wanted each city to have, what we wanted each city to represent, kind of like the new WNBA jerseys, like we were talking about the Connecticut Sun, for example, and just seeing that, especially when Nike took over the NBA with the city and earned jerseys, you're starting to see a lot more innovation with the jerseys and also a lot more just thoughts behind it, whether it's like Nick said, connecting to a city with, the top hat for the Huskies, or just finding something that connects the people to the brand or to the team. And I think that's one of the goals that we had with this project was, okay, we're going to do 12 expansion teams. We want these to be realistic and for people to see them and immediately connect to where it's like, I got to have that team in my area. And for people that don't watch the WNBA or, might not even like basketball, I know for certain, like Cincinnati has never had really a professional basketball connection outside of the Royals. Seeing the Majesty, I got a couple replies like being like, oh, that would be like, I would get season tickets immediately. And for them, it might just be, they might be a Bengals fan. So, it's immediately connecting with that city. And so I think the statement we made, for one, is obviously a lot more representation and just exposure to what the WNBA has to offer. And also, I think it's just, and what the WNBA did with these New Jersey's designs is, okay, we're actually going to raise the standard to equal of what the NBA has, because so much more money goes into the designs, so much more thought goes into the designs, whereas with the WNBA it had a very basic template for all 12 teams. We wanted to scratch that immediately and be like, nah, like we're gonna give each team 3 completely unique designs. And I think we did that, which makes a statement of, hey, like we're here, we're ready to play.
You're muted.
Yeah, I think you're muted.
I am muted. You know why? It's because I talk about this on the podcast all the time, so I'm keeping that in for sure. But I have these dudes who like come on their like, I don't even know, they're like road runners and motorcycles, and they're just like revving them up on my street.
Yeah.
And then to just abruptly cut up, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's a mess. All right. Well, what I was saying is, well said, Seth. 100% agree with what you were saying. And I wanted to toss it over to Denver, and then we'll end with you, Ryan. But thinking about that, about the equity piece, about just even having 3 uniform designs is in 2021 is a strive for equity. We start to see women's sports, whether it's hockey, the NWSL also, for the first time, unfortunately, in a lot of these leagues, they're just now getting 2 or 3 designs or 2 or 3 uniforms, let alone unique designs for each one. When it comes to the equity piece, Denver, can you just talk about, what your hope is that this will be able to do when it comes to just being able to elevate and have a conversation about all basketball that all basketball fans can enjoy?
Yeah, really, it's just, I think the way we kind of approached it was just as a celebration. of what the WNBA has to offer. And as we were working on it, more and more news started to come out about what Nike was doing, the new jerseys, the new sets and everything. So really we just wanted to ramp it up and kind of just be a part of it. And especially since Nike took over the NBA, all these City and Earned and all the NBA jerseys, like new, weird, crazy jerseys every year that are awesome. But we were kind of like, okay, well, like, why isn't this happening for the WNBA? Like, there's a need there, and they deserve it. And kind of like I said earlier, they have like everything going for them except the marketing. And I was listening to Real Ones on the Ringer, and I think Rajabel said, like, I love the WNBA, I want to support, but like, you got to give me something that like looks cool to wear, like straight up. If it doesn't look cool, I'm not going to wear it. So I think we just want to like play a part in that, whether or not a lot of people see it, a little few people see it. Like, we just wanted to play a part in adding our voice, just to bring the WNBA to the forefront, especially just as an opportunity where the talent is there, the skill is there. All that is there, but let's back it up with the art and the uniforms and all the cool aspects that men's sports and the NBA get, just kind of providing that for the WNBA as well, and doing what we can to just kind of add to that.
I love it. I'm definitely here for it. I think you're absolutely right. Like, there is this growth of basketball in particular that goes hand in hand with culture, with basketball culture, that has nothing to do with the game. And so leagues being able to tap into that, and I think other sports are starting to do that as well, will only behoove them. And I think you're absolutely right to mention that as an important part of the equity piece. But Ryan, I'm going to close out this conversation with you because it was you and I that got connected in the first place. I was like, yo, Jersey Club, what's up? What's happening? And Ryan's like, I got you. So your final thoughts on the collection, maybe anything that we didn't hit on just yet that you would like to elevate for fans, and then also how can we learn a little bit more and follow up on this WNBA expansion collection?
Yeah, so just kind of adding on to what Seth and Denver just said. I know Seth said that from the beginning we wanted to do new jerseys, not just the standard templates. But yeah, like before we even realized that Nike was abandoning the old templates, we were already moving in that direction. So it kind of worked out well that they did that. And then something to add, like we're all sports designers, and in the design community, you always see like NBA uniform concepts and that stuff. So like, I guess I just hope that this project encourages others to do concepts for women's leagues and that kind of stuff. Branch off of like what they normally do, because I know that's exactly what we just did. And then yeah, as for the rest of the WNBA expansion project, I'm not sure. Does anyone else have anything to add before we end?
I was just thinking, like, the first thing I thought of when I scrolled through the project this morning, I was like, can you think of how many NBA players would, like, walk through, like, pregame with those jerseys on? Because obviously, like, the Sabrina jersey or even the orange hoodie, like, you saw so many players in the bubble wearing that. And I'm, like, thinking right now, I'm like, could you imagine, like, I don't know.
Steph Curry.
Like, Steph Curry walking in with the San Francisco Seals jersey. And you could, because the design is so cool, and I think that's one of the goals we have. Okay, we want to design something that goes with the culture and fashion, to where it's like I can see someone coming into a game wearing that jersey. And so it's not just like, oh, we'll just do these 12 jerseys that are kind of boring, not risky, and we'll just, put them out. It was like, nah, let's be innovative to like have something that is like timeless and something that's like a fashion piece as well as like a jersey. Sorry, I'm talking a lot.
On point. You're on point, Seth. I love it. Well, I would like to thank each of you for your time and for bringing your creativity, your expertise, your fine eye to this design. I said earlier, and I meant it like right away, this popped, and I was like, I gotta know I got to know the folks behind this because we talk a lot on Locked On Women's Basketball about a way to grow the game. And each of you has mentioned in your own way is to, get people invested in things that happen on the court and off the court. And part of that is the people. It's the people that are creating it. So I want to thank you all for everything that you do. So I found this at the Jersey Club. So that's at the Jersey_club. I will make sure to link to the site where I was scrolling through all of the different uniforms and the courts. But again, Ryan, is there anywhere else that folks can follow this project or the rest of the creative team?
Just on the Twitter, like you had said, and then our account follows each of our personal accounts, so on those accounts as well, obviously. And then just the Behance page is like the main project.
Love it. Absolutely. And I love that you gave each of your creators a shout out. That is also important, in these social media streets. We got to make sure we go direct to the source.
We're all eating.
Exactly. I appreciated that. Always got to give credit where it's due. But again, thank you all so much. And I'm going to be looking forward to what y'all come up with next.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.